Welcome back to Exactly What I'm Saying. This week, I get to talk to a creative alchemist, an activist, an advocate, and one of the candidates running for Metro Council District 21. I'd like to introduce you all to my friend, Savvy Hughes. Do you want to give me a quick check?
Check, mic, check.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that sounds great, I think. Give me one more, just in case.
Hi, Zach. How are you doing today?
Yeah, dude. I'm fantastic. That's great. Well, to answer your question, I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Doing good. It's a little cold. Not up here, but outside.
Yeah, outside is I'm ready for spring. We're supposed to be back up into like the 70s, I think, this weekend.
I think Saturday it was supposed to be like, mind you, I looked at the weather yesterday, so it's probably different.
Sure.
But I think yesterday they said Saturday's gonna be like 78, high 70s.
Oh, dude, let's
I'm here for
go. I think we're gonna try to go camping this weekend. We're not 100% yet, but the goal is to go camping this weekend. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Seriously, it means a lot.
Thank you for having me.
I know that
here.
you're like a hustler and you're busy and you're constantly running around and like making the time to be here really means a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love you and I love everything you do. I'm super proud of you.
Thank
I'm
you so
super
much.
honored that you asked me to do this.
Yes.
And I will absolutely make time for you anytime.
So you had like you had responded to, I think it was my story, and I had been wanting to ask you, but it's also I'm so new and you are just like you're a boss and you're out here bossing and you're busy. So I didn't want to my goal for this is any guest that I have on, I want it to be a not stressful time. I want it to be a good experience for them. So if I ask and it, like, let's say, even if you had said yes and then today was really busy, and you had to change it, please cut. You know, I want people to take this serious, but I also want people to be there, you know, to not be stressed whenever they enter the studio and be able to relax. So if this is adding the stress, we can reschedule, you know, of course. And, you know, so thank you so much again. So I wanted to talk first, just kind of like move into things. Do you speak multiple languages?
Yo hablo muy poco español. It's no bueno.
Ooh.
I speak just a little bit. I speak enough to get me through.
Sure.
Of Spanish. I speak very little French.
Sure.
And sometimes I don't even feel fluent in English. So,
I don't think any of us do.
I work on it. A life goal is to be a polyglot.
Yeah, dude. Same, honestly.
I think language is a huge connector of people, and I love people. So, no. I don't, unfortunately, fluently speak multiple languages, but I'm learning.
But it's a goal, one day.
One day.
Nice.
Do you?
Yo también. Poquito. So I used to be a lot better at speaking Spanish. Like, I've had several times in my life where I've been super saturated in, like, I am one of the few that don't speak Spanish, but I was also one of the few, oftentimes, of those who didn't speak Spanish that had the interest in learning. So, like, and especially, so I worked in a kitchen in California where I was, like, the only gringo in the kitchen. There were other non-Spanish speaking folks around, like in
Mm-hmm.
the front of house, stuff like that. But in the kitchen, I was the only guy that I worked with ever that didn't speak Spanish. Uh, and they also had like an interest in learning English. So like it was kind of like this mutual like give and take of like constantly teaching. And it
Right.
was the same on a construction site that I worked at in Texas. So did they teach me the dirty stuff and like think it was hilarious? Yeah. But they also there was a lot of like actual real productive like
Mm-hmm.
learning and teaching and back and forth, and uh in those moments I've been more fluent, but I am way out of practice. I tell myself like almost daily I need to get back on
Yeah.
Duolingo. But it's hard because we're out here grinding.
Doing a lot of different things, but I think banter is like one of the most beautiful human interactions we can have, right? So, definitely have been in so many similar environments where I am working with so many non English speakers.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that, like, not only in workspaces, but just in community, like, everybody's not going to speak the same language. Like,
Yeah.
there are language barriers everywhere, all across the world. And if we can learn to just banter, even with the silly things, but we're still teaching each other something, and like we're still trying to learn from one another despite a barrier, like
Yeah.
I love it.
And I really love the way things are communicated in different languages. Like, I'm hungry in
Mm-hmm.
Spanish is translated more to like I have hunger. So
Right.
it feels more intimate to me,
Yeah.
which I just like find interesting. Just structuring my sentence in a different way and like the actual meaning behind it and how we are saying the same thing but in a different path of getting there is just so fascinating to me, and I find very beautiful. Um, did you first start learning Spanish? I know you spent some time as a social worker.
I did. I did. So I've kind of worked in community services.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call myself a social worker because I think a lot of people spend a lot of time and a lot of money to go to school to be able to
Okay.
call themselves
Okay.
that. Even though I feel like if you're working with people socially, you're a social worker. But I want to put
Right.
some respect on
Right.
people who like really go and like do the hard things. I don't have a college degree.
So what do you what did you do,
So
or do you
I
still?
called it community service because I think a lot of what I was doing was non-traditional as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely system involved, but it was also very system navigating and working around systems and within systems, and then working completely outside of them to try and change them. So we were doing a little bit of everything on a community level.
So were you with an organization, or was this like a group, or was it more just like a small group of passion? Like, was it also, I wanted to ask, was it a job or was it a communal service essentially? Was this like you saw the need, or what? I mean,
So
it could still be that even if it was a
I'm
job,
gonna tell
but
you from context, right? Because we've known each other how long now?
shoot, I
Five
mean, I
years?
guess
7 years? 6 years? No, it can't be seven.
I think I met you when Best Dad started. Like whenever they hired you.
So it
I
was
don't
like
know if I had met you before.
2021.
Yeah.
So yeah, like 5 years. So context for this. I am a person who's utilized systems.
Yeah.
So I come from having to work around and within the systems. I come from a family that utilized Section 8 and food pantries and soup kitchens. Um, so I remember this starting, not really just as a job, but as a thing to do because I was there,
Yeah.
was working in a little soup kitchen and it was called Warm Blessings. It's in E-Town.
Hmm.
And like I remember spending days there after school and like I started helping sweep up and I started working in the kitchen. And then this was also on the rise of Facebook and everything else.
Sure.
And so then I took over like the social media for a little bit. And so I really kind of gotten started there and was like, I love to help people because I needed help.
Yeah.
And so we can all just help each other. But professionally, as we made a lot of community and we're really outside in 2020, um, fighting for justice for Breonna Taylor and fighting for so many different things in that, because it wasn't just the innocent loss of life. I mean, there were so many systematic things that resulted up to that, that brought us to that point. And Louisville had a deep history of that that had really built up. I met Donnie Green outside, and Donnie Green was working on an outreach initiative. He'd already been serving the community in the community where they were at for years. And around that time, he met with Rana Kamar and several other people and some church leaders, and they created what is still a very beautiful, awesome thing today called Feed Louisville.
Yes. I wanted to talk about Feed Louisville.
And so that's really where professionally, I'm going to say it started. We were certainly not getting paid.
Sure.
But it was definitely a job in the way that it was a labor of love.
Yeah. I remember seeing that starting. We were, and I only say unfortunate because I wish I could have been here with my community. Mm-hmm. But we had just moved to Portland, Oregon, so that I could go to school to work on the wind turbines. And it was really hard not being able to be here with my community, and but it was also beautiful to see how much people were coming together, and I remember the rise of Feed Louisville, seeing, just friends of mine from all over posting videos of them packing up food and packing it up into a box and sending it out, and it just, we need more of that.
Yeah, and Donnie built that outreach component directly from that, right? And knowing that pre-COVID-19, the community was already struggling with access and resource to food.
Yeah.
Especially folks that were not sheltered and folks that were chronically houseless. There was a need and an accessibility too, right? Because you can say, yeah, well, there were soup kitchens and pantries, but there was a big barrier of accessibility for a lot of people. And then once COVID came around, it was that much harder, because now these communal kitchens and soup kitchens were not, that accessibility barrier was here, and then it became here. And even once we were able to come back outside, we were seeing all these really deep repercussions. And so Donnie built that out of a love for people and his own lived experience, and knowing that certain need really needed to be met. And I'm very grateful, we met during 2020. He told me what he was doing, and I'm like, cool, can I come?
Yeah.
So I give Donnie, Donnie's just such an amazing person that showed me a lot of this community, because I'm not originally from Louisville.
Yeah.
And, willing to talk about the parts that we don't often kind of talk about, and meeting those people where they were at. No judgment, no pressure, no, anything other than,
you are a human, and what's up?
What's up? What do you need? Are you hungry? Cool, let's eat. Let's eat together.
Yeah, and then you get conversation, you get community.
Yeah. And I think that was a really beautiful thing that a lot of communities miss, was that together part. It wasn't just, okay, here's a meal, here's a blanket, bye. Yeah. Let's eat together. I mean, we were spending hours and hours with people, not just meeting a need, but hearing people's dreams, hearing people's wants, hearing people's stories, letting people feel seen and heard. And then that it grew. It just continued to grow and grow and spiral. And as we built those stories and built those connections, we learned of these needs, and really attaching that to housing, which I feel like is a basic human right.
Absolutely. I don't know if this is factually true, but I believe it. I guess I should research. But I've heard that there are enough empty houses in the United States to house all of the homeless in the United States. And then there are, and we're continuing to build more.
Mm-hmm.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is absolutely ridiculous. And so, something that I know about Feed Louisville, it kind of turned into it kind of transitioned into a hotel as well, which we can talk more about. But I know that they are just like very passionate about meeting people where they are and then helping them accomplish their goals.
Yeah.
It's not about just feeding them or just giving them a place to stay. It's about what do you need to get back on your feet, get back.
Yeah.
And obviously, there are the chronically houseless, and they meet them where they are too.
Right.
You know, and they're not like, come on, Johnny, you got to get a place now, you got to get a job. They're like,
you have to recognize that everybody's situation and story is unique.
Yeah.
When you are working with people, when you are holding people's lives, and you're often meeting them in some of their worst spaces.
Yeah.
Right? In the worst down bad luck, they're at the bottom. And some people are living it up. Some people have learned to adjust and accommodate and know that this was routine for them, which is very unfortunate because I think a lot of our everyday things are very much privileges that we take for granted. And so as we were doing that outreach component of Feed Louisville and was running an amazing kitchen team that was producing what was a rapidly growing amount of space, the Douglas Boulevard church that was letting us use their very small kitchen.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Almost daily for years. Value Market, so many amazing community partners, restaurants that grew and grew and grew and saw a need and saw the work being done and were willing to grow. And as Donnie and team were working, on the outreach component, there, as you talk to these people, you learn these needs and you learn these barriers and obstructions and you go through them with people. And one of the really big needs and one of the basic beliefs that we had was that housing is a human right.
Yes.
Everybody deserves shelter.
Agreed.
Period, point blank.
I think it's really easy for people, unfortunately, and I hope that, people continue to change their way of thought. But I think it's so easy for people to get caught up in their own work and their own hustle, and they forget that things like this house, they think, oh, I earned this house. And yes, you did. But they forget that things such as shelter should be a human right, that without this house, and they forget that things could change almost on a dime, and we take a lot for granted as humans.
Yeah, I think we're often conformed to what we're used to or what we're privileged by, and think that when we hear something like that person deserves housing, that I'm saying because I own a 2-bedroom 1-bath house, that means that person should have the equivalent of that, and that's not what's being said. Everybody deserves some form of housing and shelter, and I hope everybody becomes a homeowner and the market is right and we all can have ownership. But that's a whole different story. But it looks different for everybody, and part of what we learned in our work and what led to the creation of the Arthur Street Hotel, and kind of one of its kind at the time and very, very new to Louisville and the state in practice, was non-traditional, transitional shelter.
Yes.
And it was also non-congregate, which meant you had your own room with a door that you can lock with your stuff. You did not share it with anybody.
That's nice.
Nobody could just walk in or get in a bunk beside you. or walk around you to go to the bathroom. You had your own
Did they have
space.
kitchens or were they just rooms?
They did not have kitchens.
It's a lot to have kitchens in each room,
We were starting.
Yeah, right. At
we
the
were
beginning.
starting with what we had, and there were some really amazing partners that helped make that very much a reality. And
That's
they
awesome.
believed in what they told Donnie and a lot of us that we were absolutely crazy.
Oh, I bet.
But part of why that was so important was, as somebody who's worked in housing for several years, I am of the opinion that it's not easy, but you can put people in housing all day.
Yeah.
But when you learn to work with a lot of very different people going through a lot of very different situations, something that you learn that happens in systems is too often individuals are working with somebody, they're placed into some form of housing, whether that's through a voucher program or, a program designed for people experiencing different adverse issues, etc., etc. But, okay, they're housed, and then what?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of folks, especially if they are considered chronically homeless, may have lost skills
100%.
when they're focused on survival.
Or even, in a totally non-judgmental way, like maybe never had the skills to begin with, like there's so much about not growing up. There's so much about maintaining this life. Like, I agree with the homeowner thing, but I'll say, like, since buying this house, which we're very grateful, dude, the amount of time and money and effort and
it's also just not for everybody. Everybody don't want to own a house, but I think if you want to, that should be an option.
Absolutely. It's just, but my point is there was a lot that I had to learn, but I also had people in my life that could teach me.
Right. And that's a privilege in and of itself, right? Because there's just so many things whether you think it's about, our parents teach us how to bathe growing up. What if somebody didn't have that? What if that? There's so many what ifs that contribute to somebody's situation. At the end of the day, what it was that we learned that folks needed a transitional environment where they could not be outside. They could stabilize. Stabilization was such a key. You needed to get somebody somewhere warm, sheltered, with access to running water. And food. Because they needed to stabilize. And what we found and what studies across the nation have shown is that when you can get folks into a stable place where they can stabilize, their documents are all in one space, they are safe. They're safe. They have the idea of, I know where I'm going to lay down tonight. They were able to then slowly move out of survival mode.
Build a routine.
Right? They were able to build routines. They were able to work on skills and their activities of daily living. They were able to find this calmness of mind where instead of spending every moment, where am I going to eat? Where am I going to use the bathroom? Where am I going to go to sleep? Where am I going to store my belongings?
Where am I going to shower?
Where am I going to shower? Just all these different things. I know that I need to get here, but I need to take this bus and this bus, but I don't have the $2.
Yeah. They took away the transfer for the bus, too.
Let me start.
I know, bro. I know. It's insane.
But folks could stop being in this constant where, what, and now, and this survival mode. Because that's what they had to do. They have to survive. And they were able to start having projected thinking.
Yes. Think about the future. What are next steps?
What are our next steps? Now I have if somebody wanted to get a job or needs to apply for a disability, now I'm in one place. Now I have my birth certificate, my ID, my social security card, all these things that you need.
Did y'all have like a communal computer, Wi-Fi?
Yeah, so the way we were set up was we had case managers on site and peer support.
Cool.
And so folks would work directly with them. Everybody's pathway was different. This was about as low barrier as you could get. Um, and we served a lot of folks that otherwise did not either meet the criteria for other programs or had been, were just some of the hardest people to house because of the
Yeah.
compoundment of adverse situations.
Yeah.
And we were able to really help folks navigate systems. I think something that's really important to remember is that a lot of these systems, whether that is disability, whether that is food stamps, whether that is Medicaid and Medicare, whether that is housing assistance, job searches, a lot of these systems are not designed to navigate alone if you've never been through them before. And even if you're going through them from a very young age, like you still, it takes time to figure out, you have to fail and fail and fail and fail and fail.
And when you're broke and you need that assistance and like you're
it's easier
trying
just
to survive.
Yeah. Because if you're already you're working 2-3 jobs to make ends meet and you still don't know how you're going to pay your rent because everything is sky high and maybe you've got kids and now you need to buy groceries and all these different things add up to, I don't have 6 hours to sit on the phone on hold with these people to tell me that now I need this document that I also don't know how to get, or now I have to pay $25 for a copy of the birth certificate, or you have to pay this fee, and it becomes so overwhelming when you're already like, I just need help.
Yeah,
that people give up on those systems. Those systems are not designed for people to be accessible.
No.
And so I think another big bonus was people had somebody direct we were able to work with people and say, we're going to fill this form out with you.
That's awesome.
We're going to do this with you. And if it was something that we didn't know, we were thankfully had so many amazing community partners. Insurance was not my thing. There were a lot of really amazing people in the community that I was like, I can't help you with this, but I'm going to sit with you with this person who's going to tell us everything we need to do.
And now when you hit that speed bump, you're not alone.
Yeah.
You have someone that's like, all right, I don't know the answer, but we are going to figure it out together. And I think that's so awesome. Shout out to Feed Louisville. And what's the name of the hotel?
Arthur Street Hotel.
Arthur Street Hotel. Yeah. They're really doing awesome stuff.
They're doing amazing.
They're still going strong,
things.
right?
Yeah, still going strong. I mean, they are doing amazing, amazing things. There are so many amazing people who work there, volunteer there, are resources and partners with there. And they are just really, really paving a way for like what community looks like.
What does it mean to you to be able to support those in need and be a voice for the unheard sometimes?
I think it's important. I think I was a person who grew up in a lot of adverse situations.
Yeah.
And I needed support.
Yeah.
And I was very, very blessed and very, very lucky to maybe not come across structured programs and resources, but people who cared.
Yeah.
And programs and resources that were built by people who cared, but were also underfunded. I came up around a lot of make it work people.
Yeah.
Very resourceful people who did not have a lot, but we were very community based. And when I came to Louisville, I'm very, very blessed and grateful to have found a very similar community to that.
That's awesome.
And the beautiful thing is, I think a lot of times we're all conditioned to feel voiceless, especially in the times that we're in. Everything is so overwhelming, on a national level, on a state level, on a city level, on a personal level. When you go home at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
You can't even just turn the TV on and like breathe. I think it's so important to create community in that, because I mean, you just cannot do it by yourself. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot the question.
Oh, I said, what does it mean to you?
I'm sorry, I was trying.
Oh no, you're fine. What does it mean to you to be able to support those in need and to be a voice for the unheard.
Yeah. So it means a lot to me. I was once one of those person in needs, and I
Yeah.
am very blessed and privileged to grow up in a community where maybe we didn't have a lot, but we all made it work.
Did you have someone like yourself when you were in that position?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, having these aunties and uncles, and I
Yeah.
grew up in a small town, so we had very close knit neighborhoods, and everybody was really, you could look out. And maybe they didn't have what you needed, but we had something to help contribute and put it together.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
and times now, like, it's just so hard to decompress and go with all the things that are nationally, federally, national and federal, your state, your local, your city, when you go home, your own personal struggles. So I think it's important to, like, show up for people and others being able to show up for you. And I think I know what it's like to feel like you don't have a voice, to feel like you grow up and saying, hey, these decision making positions and lawmakers, that's those jobs, those positions are for people who come from a certain background. They have this certain, stature or privilege. And what I've learned is it's not like that at all.
Yeah.
It's not. And so being able to lift others as I rise and to bring people along and not just be a voice for people who feel unheard or voiceless, but being able to lift them up and making them heard in spaces.
Empower them, yes.
Has been something super, super important to me because that's how I grew. That's how I got to where I'm at. And I want to make sure everybody else has the opportunity to experience and do the same.
Dude, that's so awesome. Man, kudos. What a beautiful thing, and I just love our community, and we all need to get to know our neighbor better. Yeah. Just in general, I think right now we're all so separated that it gets hard to know that things like that are even needed. I do want to shift gears just a little and talk about your creative side for a second.
Word.
What's your favorite medium?
What's my favorite medium as a creative? So you know me a lot for photography and videography, but hidden fact, my favorite medium, my favorite art is collages.
Ooh,
I make collages.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, we should have a collage night.
We should. I have them in my house all the time.
Oh my god. I need that.
It's just me and my desk and my craft table, but come on.
But we have them. No, dude, I think we would both be down. That's super awesome. I didn't know that. I can't wait to see some of the stuff you've done. So, Creative Alchemist. Is that self-titled?
That's self-titled.
What does that mean to you, Creative Alchemist? Videography, photography, and collages.
Yeah.
I'll maybe I can help you a little bit. I feel like we align in the way that we think creatively whenever we're like collaborating. I feel like a lot of times like you'll say something and I'm like, yes, that is what we should do. Where everyone else, I feel like oftentimes will be like, I don't know, and I feel like you've been that way to me as well, where you're like, I see what you're saying, and I still think about the forks.
The forks, I still want to do it.
I still want to do it too. I think all the time, I'm like, if I just go buy 1,000 forks.
For context, we do Creative Tuesdays when we're able to, and we're not all working and doing life things. But we just needed an idea for a Creative Tuesday, and my idea was forks. No particular reason, nothing, there's no build up to that, there is no context, sorry. I just wanted to get a bunch of forks, and each one of us, because there's usually 4, 5, 6 of us that participate, and we all kind of have our own little niches, but we all do the thing. and everybody had to like figure out a way, like a different way to photograph the fork or use it in a photo.
See, I love that each person gets their own fork concept.
Yeah.
I love that. I still think we should do that.
To do, what was I gonna do? Oh, like a fork disco ball. There was a whole concept that I had at one point with forks and disco balls. I can't even tell you what it was supposed to result in now, but
I feel like if we had a bunch of forks, like the ideas would just
I think the beautiful thing is
keep
we're
rolling.
both very like out of the box, and I don't want to say challenging, but just something different.
Yeah, I want to do
and
things
we don't
that don't
have
make
to
sense.
have. There doesn't have to be an endpoint.
Exactly.
Like there isn't this. You got to use this fork and create a photo that displays aptitude and this and that.
Yeah.
And like there was some result. Like it was like, okay, use the fork in the photo. Like I don't want you to say anything. It doesn't have to be anything. It just, you have to use a fork in a photo. That's it.
Look at how cool all of these forks look whenever I put them like this.
Yeah.
That's you know,
how
that's
do you use the fork to
goal.
create light and shadow, like little jail bar, or just all these different types of things you could do. The point was not to create a certain thing. The point was to push your creativity in utilizing this tool to still make something cool. Whatever you thought cool was.
Exactly.
And I think that's where we really, like, our minds mesh.
Yeah.
Creativity.
That's that alchemy. That's that alchemy thrown in.
I'm not a play it safe person. I'm a calculate the risk.
And if the risk is like, you know,
if the risk, honestly, sometimes I push 50%, but if it's less than 50%,
let's go.
I'm going to take the risk. Obviously, don't, like, apply that to real-world dangerous situations.
But especially in photos.
But if you're making art, if you are doing photography or videography or collages or painting or whatever, you know, if you're a skateboarder, an ice skater, and you want to try something new and create something new in that world, do it.
You gotta push the boundaries.
Just try it. You just gotta push the boundary and not. The world already puts a lot of limitations on us.
Yeah.
In so many different ways. And so I think creativity and art, whatever that looks like for people, because art is subjective, is just to not conform.
Yeah.
The world already puts us in boxes. Like, why would I want to take my outlet and put myself in a box?
And sometimes you have to create limitations to yourself to force yourself out of the box. Like, oh, you want to keep doing the same thing in the studio? Well, you have to use a fork. Yeah. So now flip your world upside down and figure it out, bud. And I love that. Yeah, you're totally an alchemist. What frame do you shoot when you shoot photography? Do you have like one? You have your beloved frame, or are you all over the place depending on the job?
All over the place.
Okay.
Because I shoot so many different things.
That makes sense.
That I'm honestly, it is a buy what I'm doing type of thing. Because what I'm gonna shoot for an outdoor event, just capturing the event throughout the day, is gonna be different than if I'm in the studio doing either a headshot or even if I'm doing like just a creative. I call them Vogue shoots.
Yeah, fashion,
there's really,
photography.
Fashion. We're just shooting it to shoot it because it looks cool. Kyle's a really good example is the Doritos shoot.
Oh, yeah.
I call those a Vogue shoot because it's like, you're not doing it for marketing. You're not doing it for anything other than to just be different and weird and do like the cool extra stuff that they do in the magazines, and I love that.
Me too. Just making a pretty picture, dude. It's a freaking blast. As life moves and changes, do you think photography will remain a constant in your life?
Yeah. I think something I've learned over the years. Shout out to Kyle and Amanda for always believing in me first and foremost. Kyle and Amanda are so influential, and Kyle has taught me everything I know about videography.
Yeah.
Because I was Kyle's the opposite of me. Kyle's been a videographer and then became a photographer. I've been a photographer and then become a videographer, but I never gave myself space to, or belief really, to pursue photography as a real career until I met Kyle, and Kyle really pushed me for that. Um, and it was always just this kind of thing, like, it's a lot of money, like, I don't have these clients, I don't have a studio, I don't have these things. And I was like, you don't need any of that. Let's work together, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Kyle really pushed. Kyle and Amanda are some of probably the biggest believers in me. Even when I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing, and they're like, it's cool, just do it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because you're a boss.
Man. And so I think I've also realized as I've built things out, I think that I'm really proud of what Kyle's built and what I've been able and privileged to be a part of. Because I think that's exactly if I wanted to pursue photography as a full-time career, which I don't think is in the cards for me, if I'm being honest.
Sure.
I already have this passion for helping people and for telling stories and for giving people a platform to share, to share their stories. And I think that is such an art that you can do through photography, and Kyle does super well. Best Ed Media and Best Ed Studios motto is that we tell stories that matter.
Yeah.
And Kyle has always been super forthright with placing community at the highest tier in his business and really making sure that folks who wouldn't normally get that chance to have these productions made get that, and really working with people and saying, not just here's a script and here's a stage and here's a camera in your face, but really allowing people and having an art to creating a space for people to be in front of a camera and truly be vulnerable is something super rare and grateful. And I just want to keep working with Kyle.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. Kyle and Amanda, my dogs.
Yeah. I'm sure that for those who don't know, Savvy is the additional employee for Best Ad Media. Not always on the scene, but whenever that third person is needed,
I'll be there.
Yeah, she's around.
I just do it. What's understood don't gotta be explained. But
if you're in the studio, don't be surprised if she pops up.
I pop up. I'm there. I might be the person editing, calling your, I might not be at your shoot. I might be editing it. You don't know where I'm gonna be, but I'd be there. And thank you to Kyle and Amanda for always believing in me and letting me slack with the Best Dad stuff when I'm pursuing these crazy otherworldly opportunities, and always being my biggest supporters in that too.
So I think to kind of clarify what you're saying is District 21 Metro Council.
Yeah.
You're running. The first thing I want to...
That's a crazy sentence. I still think it's crazy to say.
It is crazy to say. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You look like you need to be in that position when you're representing yourself and you're dressed, you know what I mean? Just you seem so professional, and you're taking this super serious. I know that this is your first time running for office.
This is my first time running for office.
So I wanted to ask, what does that role actually mean? District 21 Metro Council. What is that?
So first, can I say I have been asked for years. Fun fact, I've also worked in politics. I'm a campaign staffer.
Yeah.
For several years now. I've worked on campaigns from New York to Atlanta to Kentucky to DC. Worked on them. And for years I have been asked, so when are you going to run for office? So when are you going to run for office? And my answer has always been no.
Okay.
My answer has always been no. And I think that was because even as a campaign staffer for years, I had a belief that in my head that I'm too brash, I'm too honest, I'm too tattooed, I'm too young.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think the way that systems work and institutions would, quite particularly be of the taste of how I see the world and how I envision things, and I like to be where the people are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would not run. And over the last couple years, as the talk about this election coming up in my district,
How old are you, real
I'm
quick?
20. I just turned 26.
Just turned 26.
I just turned 26.
Dang, you're running. Let's go. Okay, okay.
So
Sorry.
no, let's get it.
Let's get it.
Let's get it. Let's go. But and I teetered around with the idea of it, and I still was kind of really like, I just don't know that that's the fit.
Sure.
I know you're saying I'm professional, but I'm very real. I'm a very honest person. I can't lie to save my life. I don't, if I feel a certain way about something, I'm very passionate.
Yeah.
And, the tone that we've had for politics on all levels the last 20 years is really not that. But I've had the pleasure of knowing and working with and watching, even from a distance, really amazing other young folks. Ja'Cory Arthur, Charles Booker, Katura Heron, JP, just so many amazing people, and so many other people that I will be here forever if I name everybody off.
Sure.
Take these runs. Joy McAtee's been a huge supporter, and I love her, and she's running right now too.
For governor?
She is running for state rep.
State rep.
Yeah.
State representative.
She's running for state rep. And as it got really close and the seat was coming up for re-election, I had some people really seriously reach out and say, hey, we really think
that's amazing.
You should do this. And I said, if you'll support me and help me do it, let's do it. I was like, but I want to make sure that I had to take some time before I made that decision. It's a really big decision. Because when you run, you're not just running because this is a job I want to do. This is not a normal job application.
Yeah.
This isn't something that you take lightly and it's a part-time job. You really have to have and know that you're really ready to make a very serious commitment and a focus to people and people in your constituency and in your district and people who don't agree with you, people who see things a completely different way than you. And you have to be ready to put your own deeply personal beliefs to the side and really lean into others.
Yeah.
And be of a servant leadership attitude. And I really had to take time to process and say, I've already got this other full-time job, and I'm a photographer and videographer, and I'm deeply ingrained in community work, and I still do outreach, and I'm I'm just all these different things. Am I willing to take all of this a step further and on a bigger stage and really, truly, take care of people on that level.
So at the Metro Council, is it like each district has one person in office?
Yes. So Louisville Metro is broken into 26 different areas. There are 26 districts. I'm in District 21. So that is the State Fairgrounds, Convention Center, and then the airport is like the heart of my district. And then I have everything on a map to the east of that, which is from the top of Preston all the way down to Fern Valley all the way out to nearly like J Mall, a very small stretch.
Yep.
All the way out through there. And then you go over to the west side. And if you're starting back at the top, I've got everything in the Wilder Park neighborhood, everything in Beachmont, down through Iroquois.
Wow.
Parts of Kenwood, parts of Southside.
Wow.
At the very bottom down there. And then a couple smaller industrial areas right along.
So that's a pretty big. That's a big
It's a
district.
very large district, a very industrial district, and a very, kind of historic neighborhood district.
So, what kind of decisions or what will be your responsibility as if you are elected?
Right.
What things will you be responsible for handling?
So, Metro Council members have a lot of different responsibilities. You are one person who helps make up kind of a, I don't want to say governing board, but a governing board. Those people help come together. They sponsor ordinances. They vote, pass on ordinances. They run committees. So your planning and zoning committees, special events committees, budget committees, all these different committees that help vote on and create different things. They are who helps pass your city's budget every year. They are also the people over their neighborhood or their district. That is the person when something breaks and you don't have street lights, or you have a street that never got stop signs and you've got people flying down the
Yeah.
street in a neighborhood. That's that person who you're reaching out to, and they are kind of your liaison. Now,
Yeah.
your council person is not the person who comes out and paves the roads for you, but they are the person who can help work directly with public works, get you on the
To get someone
the list, or
assigned.
figure out if there's funding that needs to be allocated. So they are the person who's directly working on a community level.
And having someone that actually cares
They're
and
gonna
is
be
gonna
who funds your
fight.
parks, right? If you have a
Yeah.
playground that hasn't been updated in 20 years, they are the person you're gonna reach out to and say, "Can you allocate funding, or can we find grants, or is this in the city budget?" That's the person that
You're the
you're
voice
going
for the
to.
community.
Yeah.
Even if you're so like where the issue can come in is a lot of times people in office, the words that they are speaking are not from the community. It's
Yeah.
important that the people who live there are being heard.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people who have a lot of different personalities and they handle their positions very differently than
Yeah.
other people. I'm very much a believer in there's a time to insert my personal feelings in things, and there's a time when you really just got to reach out to community and you got to let that be a community decision, because I'm not the only person it affects, but I am the person who holds a semblance of power
Yeah.
to influence that decision and whether it happens or not. And I think more than ever right now in the times that we're in, you have to have somebody who's willing to stand up and say the hard things sometimes.
Absolutely.
And say the positive things, and the person who is not just going to vote along party lines, but really stand up for what they're voting in and explain why.
Instead of giving lip service.
Yeah,
to
and
just
and
please
we're just not in a bare minimum time anymore, and I'm
No.
such not a bare minimum girl. I'm gonna do
Okay.
the most.
Yes.
Zach, you know me very well. I'm gonna do the most. If it's important to constituents, then it should be important to the council person.
For sure.
If
agreed.
you have a neighborhood that has not had a park or doesn't have a park at all, and your constituents are telling you, we want a park for our kids to play in, or we need a safer park for our kids to play in. It's important for you to listen to that. It's important for you. Council members are voting on ordinances, and those ordinances affect not just your district, but the whole city. You are voting on budgets, which don't just affect your district, and they can really affect your district on top of that, but the whole city. And I think it's really, really important more than ever right now for infrastructure, politically, to have people in office who are willing to be vocal.
Yeah.
About the decisions they're making, about why they're making the decisions, to be vocal about bringing other people to the table and, justify and bring that in, and not just be what I refer to as pastime politicians.
Yeah.
Which means they're coming in, they're doing their job. Maybe it's not good, maybe it's not bad. They're doing their job,
Yeah.
but they are doing the minimum requirements of the job and that solely.
They're not going above and beyond to make sure that certain things are being
Yeah, they're not going out of their
accomplished.
way to speak to community members. They might show up to a board meeting or neighborhood association meeting, or they might do this and that, but they're not really utilizing that position to what I personally believe is the fullest.
Yeah.
And so we're nobody that exists right now, if you care about community and you care about politics and you care about people, is comfortable right now.
Yeah. No.
Nobody is comfortable right now. And I think it's important to not have politicians who are just comfortable where they're at.
I completely agree. Yeah, there's too much. It's too serious of a job for you to just be comfortable.
Yeah.
Like you should be even like uncomfortable.
And I'm not
doesn't
saying you
have
gotta
to be
push
a
yourself
bad
to
thing.
burnout,
No,
and
no,
play
but
in people's faces. But like you gotta speak up. You gotta show out. And so it's
Yeah.
hard to say that there are, people who are elected on state levels and federal, state, federal, local levels that I'm like, man, I can't remember a single, thing that they've said or done or been a part of.
yeah,
And so I think that's really hard right now when I'm like, dude, we're all struggling. People need answers. We need solutions. Even if it doesn't work, even if it can't, I need to
yeah.
feel like something is, happening.
Yeah,
That
we're at least
somebody
trying.
cares or that
Yeah.
they're trying. So it's like, I can't, if people aren't comfortable, how could I ever be?
Yeah.
If people who look like me, work like me, have families like mine, come from backgrounds that I have, people who live on the same street as me, even if I'm elected, if those people are not comfortable because of these climates,
Yeah.
how could I ever just sit and do the bare minimum? I show up to the council meeting and I vote yes, yay or nay, and then I go home. Like, maybe I host this event or that, or I show up to a neighborhood, but I'm not tangibly showing people that I care.
Right.
And these people elected me for the purpose of hoping that I would care enough. They voted for me and believed in me because I should be the person believing in and uplifting them.
Absolutely.
So it's always a tough thing for me. And I know that that's not how politics works. And for years and years, it's been like this. And I'm just ready for something different.
Hey,
I'm ready for something different.
I believe in you. I really do. I hope that it's possible. So, man, I feel like we kind of touched base on this, but if you are elected, is there anything that you see right now as a direct need that you hope to accomplish if you are elected into this position? And if it's just shaking it up, then, I accept that.
I mean, sometimes you gotta rattle the box. You gotta poke the fish. You gotta tap on the glass.
Yeah.
I think there's several different things. I think the first thing right now is really talking with people. I'm running on the platforms of safer streets, smart infrastructure,
Yes.
thriving small businesses, and
Yes.
strong community. I think a really, really big... Are you asking me about my district or like overall like ordinance?
I was thinking
introductions?
when you get into if you are elected into office for Metro Council, what you want to do for your district. I mean, if there are things that you
Gotcha.
can outside of in that position, awesome. But what do you see that is needed that you hope to accomplish if elected?
Gotcha. I think in my district right now, talking to a lot of people, obviously, having options for things to do, supporting small businesses,
Yeah.
building business corridors has been really, really important, as I'm hearing from both sides of my district, because I'm on both the east and the west side of the airport. Um, I think the other thing is parks initiatives. I think
Yes.
right now a lot of people want, if a park already exists, they're like, hey, can we get adequate lighting at
Yeah.
nighttime? Can we have a couple more benches for us to actually sit at, or picnic tables? Everybody doesn't want to stand the whole time their kid is, or they're playing at the park. People are playing sports. There's basketball goal or a soccer field. Having options for people to do. I think a really, really big thing for me is having accessible playgrounds in
Yeah.
every park. Um, there's no reason why a park should ever be inaccessible to a child despite ability, ever. We are
Agree.
far too ahead of time now. There's no reason. And I think another big thing for me as far as parks go is on the Preston side of the district. Um, in my district, in Preston Park, there are no parks and no
Mm.
green spaces.
Yeah.
There are a couple green spaces right typed up to the back and the bottom of the airport. They're not fenced off. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Um, but I think it's important to figure out, are these used as mitigation? What's the zoning for these? Can we get these folks on this side of Preston Highway
Yeah.
that's not Auburndale and, these other neighborhoods outside of the district? Folks should be able to stay in their district and stay in their neighborhood and go to a park,
And walk to a park.
walk to a park. I'm a big believer in the Parks in Every Neighborhood initiative.
Same.
Shamika Parrish, right? It's part of her initiative from Plan for Mayor. It's a
Shout
beautiful
out.
initiative.
I love that. I support that.
I'm here for that. So I think that's really important as far as improving quality of life and accessibility to green spaces for folks in my district. I think another big thing is we have not supported small businesses, at least with the resources that are available.
Yeah.
So a big thing that I'm working on right now, if you own a small business and I haven't seen you yet, you're gonna see me. I'm coming. But right now, really, like, I have been spending a lot of time talking to small business owners.
Yeah.
Kyle and Amanda, of course. Several other businesses that I'm not going to name because I don't know if they want to be
That's
talked
fine.
about publicly.
Yeah. That's totally
But
fine.
talking to them about, the challenges they're facing, the neighborhoods that they're in, what do they think could improve it? What do we do for the beautification, right? That's a big thing everybody wants to talk about. We have a lot of historic buildings, and aging buildings all across the Louisville metro.
Yes.
There are also, I've recently learned a lot of really great programs for loans for small businesses through Metro government and some of their partners. And I'm learning as I'm talking to small business owners, saying, hey, did you know that this resource existed? Do you know that there's a Metro office for,
That's amazing.
entrepreneurs? And folks are saying,
No.
we had no clue.
No.
Like, we would have utilized this, or
Yeah.
I would, but I've never filled out this and I don't understand. So a
Even
really,
how to
really
get
big
there
thing for
to
me
learn.
is creating partnerships with some of these metro offices of
Yeah.
businesses and these business associations. So Preston Park has a business alliance. And saying, hey, how can we get small business owners these resources? Can we partner them with groups that can help them fill out these applications for grants and loans and increase their chances, so that these small businesses can continue to thrive? And I think the biggest thing for me right now is addressing the housing concern in the city. I think
Yeah.
my approach is a little bit different. I think it's a two-step approach. We are seeing a lot of low income, affordable housing. I'm going to say that with quotations because I don't know about all of them, but I know about some of
Sure.
them. And the reality is some of these are only required by the federal grants and subsidies that they're getting to only have a portion of those units as those low income affordable. They are not required to accept it. They do have grant requirements or government funding requirements. And they are not all great. Some of them
Right.
are placed very, very far out because that's where it's cheaper to build. But now they are in, you know, these folks are 20 minutes from a grocery store, and there's no bus lines that run out there, and there's, you're all the way, you're out, you're not right in the metro, the heart of the metro. So I think a big thing is creating a citywide ordinance for community bargaining agreements,
Oh.
which means that should developers want to use state or federal tax dollars to build these low income affordable housing um, functions anywhere in the city, they are required to have a community bargaining agreement that would be publicly created. And what CBAs do is they say, hey, if you want to create this, you can, but you must also donate so much money a year to the school system. You
Yeah.
must build and include a inclusive park for the with public access. You must, you know, contribute to XYZ projects. So, and community bargaining agreements look different for everywhere. It's very
Yeah.
much based on what communities need, and it's set to, instead of continue to just overbuild with these really quick, cheap, high rise, housing builds and these apartments, to also make sure that we're not just creating walls and concrete and parking lots, but we're
Yes.
actually providing something for the community, especially if you're going to be using, what I'm going to call is community dollars, because we're taxpayers.
Yeah.
And that's money that trickles down into all these different pockets, and some of those do go to these grants.
I think that sounds like an amazing idea. And I don't know the science behind it, but I've said for a few years now, I'm like, we've got all this plastic in the ocean. Start telling corporations they're not allowed to make new plastic. They have to take it from the ocean, give them the subsidies to build the equipment, and those oceans will get cleaned. Because you tell the corporate that they can't make money unless they recycle, then they're going to start recycling. And I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a politician. I'm sure that there are issues with that. But it's like, if we're gonna have, you should just that community bargaining agreement just. Yeah, we'll give you this money, but this is what you have to do for the community, not even for us. And they still get to write that off. It's not like it's a total, it just
and it's usually, community bargaining agreements are usually not sent to be like, you have to fully fund a school for 5 years. It's something realistic, but that also will increase the value of that property.
Yes.
So it's really a win-win for those business owners that are creating those developments and the community, but it helps to protect community in saying, hey, maybe we can't stop you from getting the zoning and building here, but this does at least protect our interest and say, hey, if you're going to build here, you have to be a good neighbor.
Yeah.
You have to be. And I think that's love that. That's the big thing, is when you're working and developing housing, you're developing community.
Facts.
And I know that we want to look at housing as a business model, and there's a whole lot that goes into the back end of that. But as a servant leader, and as somebody who works in community, you are not just building housing. You are building community.
Absolutely.
You are building groups of people, neighborhoods of people.
Yeah. Literally from the ground up.
Literally. So you have to create something for those people to be in harmonious community.
To commune.
So
small businesses, parks, like places for people to congregate that are safe, and that are, like just positive places to be. Yeah, no, that's really cool. I love that.
Yeah. I'm trying to gather all my thoughts on it. There's a whole thing written up. It'll be out. I think
that's amazing. I think you're good. I have just a couple more questions. I did want to maybe take a quick break, if that's okay with you. No cheating, mister. You're cheating.
Oh, now I am. Because you touched
Oh, these are the old ones.
You were looking at me
These
and
are the
doing
old ones.
this.
These are the old ones. I swiped it back up so you couldn't cheat.
But my bad. I wasn't trying to cheat. You said, but you were tapping like you wanted me to look. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I have to use the bathroom really quick. We were talking about that. Okay, so
Welcome back.
On a public note, what are your thoughts on the comments that have been made about your tattoos?
Oh, I knew this was gonna come up. No, I mean, I think that's real. I think people are allowed to ask questions. I think public perception around tattoos is, traditionally fallen a certain way for years and years. I hate to break it to you guys. They don't come off. And I'm not a huge fan of makeup, so I will not be covering myself in 7 layers of foundation every day. But not being funny. I'm sorry. But no, I think it's a real concern. I get it. I get why people ask questions, and I always welcome it. The beautiful part is my tattoos are part of my story. They are places I've been, things I've learned, people I know, people I've loved. It's my tattoos are so many things to me, and they are part of my story. They're not my whole story.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not the story of how I grew up. They are not the story of the work that I've done, the work that I continue to do, the way that I love people, the way that I love community, the way that I love my friends and my family. And at the end of the day, I can only hope that people are honest enough if it bothers them to ask me this question.
Yeah.
And then judge me by the content of my character and the work that I do and the history that I have that's look upable.
Yeah.
And not by my tattoos. The reality is I've been doing this work for years. I care deeply. I'm committed deeply to people and community and making life better and easier for one another and putting truth to power for years, and my commitment to that runs deeper than this ink.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I was going to maybe say, what about the people who don't ask questions? What about the people who have decided their opinion just off of that presentation? Mm-hmm. And I feel, unless you have more to add to it, I feel like you hit it spot on.
Yeah,
your care and your commitment is...
The only thing I'd add is if somebody shuts down at the sight of my tattoos and they're not willing to ask the question, and maybe they're not willing to, decide how they feel about me based on the content of my character and who I am and what I do, then that's okay. Because if that's what turns you off, you're probably really not gonna agree or align with a lot of other things. I don't know.
You probably weren't getting that.
I've just never been a closed-minded person, and I think if somebody is that there's a lot you can do to try and break that person through. But if they're not willing to hear me, if they're willing to shut down just by the sight of me and what's on my skin, then I don't know that there's
anything you can do.
There's much I can do. I can love them. I can love them.
You're still there for them. If you're in office, you're still representing them and their interests that you do have control over. And Like you
I
said,
do.
they don't
I
wash
do
off.
I do a lot of times try to keep them, at least my arms and my legs, covered, because I do want to be respectful. I understand that culturally, for some people, religiously for a lot of people, um, that is just not the way that they roll. And I do
Sure,
try
sure.
really, really hard to be respectful of that, but also maintaining my own authenticity.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that that's beautiful, and I hope that people take the time to get to know you, because I think once they do, anyone will have a hard time disliking you, at least on a personal level. So, do you have? I know you said you know to be running for office on any capacity. Now that you're kind of starting doing it, do you think this is something, even if do you have any dream goals? Any seats you would like to fill? Could you see yourself as president one day?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely
You would
not.
have my
Straight to the
vote.
camera. Absolutely not.
Absolutely. That's what you said about this.
Fair point.
But
You
so
know that meme where they're like, straight to jail?
straight.
There's several people already, and yeah, don't make me president.
So not president, but is there a goal? Is there like an office seat that
I'm
you?
gonna be so honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I love that.
I think that we just have to let the universe, and like, you just gotta let the universe be.
Yeah.
It took a lot of deep reflecting to make sure that I was prepared to make this commitment, and it was an easy decision, but I wanted to really
Yeah.
talk with people who've been in it, and really know what I was getting myself into, and really know and deeply make that commitment, that I think that that's just going to be ever changing.
Yeah.
There's so many other awesome people running for so many other awesome offices. There's a lot of other not so awesome people hopefully soon going to leave offices, and we'll need to
For
fill
sure.
those seats.
Yeah.
I
So
don't
no,
know.
I think
Like,
that's
we'll
a great
see.
answer.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We gotta see how the community feels too. I mean, the reality is, I think too many politicians play on promises,
Yes.
and I'm a big believer in, you shouldn't make promises if you can't
Put
keep
your
them.
money where your mouth is.
And I only have two promises in this life: I will advocate, and I will ask.
Yes.
Beyond that, we're gonna try our damnedest, but I'm an advocate and I'm an ask all day long. It's the only two promises I'm ever gonna make you.
Yes.
I do not make promises that I cannot keep. And I think that's a really, really important thing for accountability, for trust. So
And we
my
need more
promise
of
right
that.
now is that I'm gonna run this race with the best of intentions, for the people, by the people, about the people. And I promise to do my best, and I promise to advocate, and I promise to ask, and I promise to think about all that later.
That is such a better answer than I could have ever even thought of. For anyone out there who do not live in your district but believe in you, how can they help? If anyone wants, if anyone feels so inclined to help you on your journey.
If you live in a district that's not mine, and you're in Louisville, and you love me, I think you will look up who's running, if there's anybody running in your district, and see if you love me, or these people that you would align with.
Okay.
And I think the other big thing is, if you love me, like, do something for your community. Inspire somebody in your community.
Yeah.
Like, if you love me, you know what I love, and I want you to carry that into the world. And I mean, you can come door knock, you can come phone bank, you can talk to all your friends and figure out if any of them live in my district.
Yeah.
And family, and say, hey, introduce me. But the biggest thing is, like, you can invite others to take action.
Yeah.
In whatever way that looks like. Whether that is volunteering on this campaign, volunteering on somebody else who's running in your district, local, state, or federal, whether it is to help somebody in your neighborhood, whatever that looks like.
Amazing.
Carry your elderly neighbor's groceries to her porch from her car. I don't know.
Amen.
Go tell somebody to register to vote if they haven't already. Help your other neighbor mow their grass because you know they're busy and she got kids and they've got jobs and they got whatever going on. Like, just take action. Be a part of your community. Like, if you love me, that's what you'll do, because the only way, there's a lot of ways things can get better politically. There's a lot of action that can be taken, but as a society, like, until we start taking action for one another and being in community with one another and loving one another, that's the best thing you can do. I don't know. Maybe I'm a big old.
No, that's an amazing answer.
I'm a big old bushy.
I'm so impressed right now. That's so amazing. I know that I was really asking for myself because I don't live in your district, and I wish I could give you 10 votes. And now I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I know what I need to do. But otherwise, that's pretty much all I have for you. Did you have anything that you wanted to talk about or ask me?
Zach.
Savannah. Hey, I saw that on your Metro Council posters, and I was like, Savannah, okay.
For context, I go by Savvy. Everybody knows me as Savvy. I've been Savvy for as long as I can remember. I have not heard. I don't hear my full birth given name unless I'm in trouble with my mom.
You're not in trouble, don't worry.
So, but now everybody has to call me my birth given name. And it's a little weird.
Miss Savannah.
We can leave the miss. I can take Savannah. I don't know about Miss Savannah because I'm not that old.
Fair.
Zach, what's been inspiring you lately? Just in creative sense, but also I know a lot of times we take our creativity back into real world activities with us. What inspires you?
Yeah. Honestly, inspiring me lately has been the sense of community that I've been able to feel doing this podcast. I have been getting to talk to small business owners. I get to talk to candidates for the Metro Council, and I get to talk to the woodworker who just, builds some cool stuff, but he just has a job, I get to talk to so many people, so many friends, and I get to hear about the passions and what makes them tick and what inspires them. And that has been super inspiring for me, honestly. And, I kind of mentioned I recently lost my job, and, it was a little rough, but then that next week I did several interviews, and while I will be seeking employment doing this, I feel like I could do this every day. And I really love that. And I think that's the best answer I can give.
I love that. That's awesome. So, leaning into that, because, you talked about the community of doing this podcast. What brought up the podcast? Like, what spurred this? What led us here, Zach?
Yeah, I think I've kind of talked about this a little bit before, but really, it all started, I was... I listen to podcasts. I've listened to a lot of interview podcasts, and through all of the different ones, all of my traditional favorite episodes are the ones that weren't famous people, whether depending on the podcast, it was an actual interview of them, or if it was them telling a story from a prompt. I always enjoy those more than the interview of the average random celebrity.
Yeah.
I feel like it brings a sense of genuinity and transparency that you just don't get from someone with a publicist. Not to say that they're not being genuine. Maybe some are, maybe some aren't. That's not for me to decide. But I feel the energy of honesty from just normal people. And, I'd wanted to start a podcast for a while, and I looked up, I had a dream of years ago. I'd had a dream of starting a podcast, and I just kind of looked up podcast equipment, and I was like, oh, that's remarkably affordable. And then I started to look into more exactly what I needed, and it just was so accessible that I was like, all right, I'm doing this. I had a vision, exactly what I'm saying, and it was going to be talking to just people, small business owners, a lot. Like, my friends do so much cool stuff. I guess one last thing, I genuinely believe that there is a large handful of people that I know that have the talent to be famous, but they don't want to be famous, like that's like they just do it for the love. Not that the famous person doesn't by any means, but their talent deserves to be appreciated.
Yeah.
I think I want to appreciate them, and because I love them, and I just love seeing what they do and have done and continue to grow and expand. Like, let's highlight that. And that's what started it. And my goals, I'm seeing the potential, and, knock on wood, but my goals are to connect the community. It's starting, basically I live in Louisville, so it's primarily just Louisville. And even if I get someone not living here, I still am. But the goal is, I'm seeing the potential of connecting us all together, and maybe you need something built, so you hit up the woodworker from that episode. And it's because when you Google things, you get all of the sponsored ads. You don't,
right.
Sometimes you don't even realize that you have a neighbor that is capable of this, that does this. Oh, you're totally fine.
I'm like, I didn't realize how loud that was.
It's my dream for this is just to connect the community and hopefully to inspire others. Because I also think that there's validity in, I have this thing that I'm interested in, or this passion that I want to pursue, but I could never be as good as that famous person. Or, like seeing the normal people who are successful in these
famous
things.
People are just talented people who got exposure.
Yeah, because they wanted it. Most of the time,
Well, and they had a lot of times, people push for that. They strive for that certain amount of exposure. But I think it's always important, like, I'm so similar, and like, I could never do this. Like, they already do this and kill it, and they're famous and they're public, and then I have to remember, like, all art isn't for public consumption.
Yes. Yeah.
Famous people got famous because of exposure. I don't have to give myself or ask for or make this for exposure.
It sounds like that's what your collages are. They're for mostly for you.
Exactly what my collages are, actually.
No, I love that. So yeah, that's how it got started and what I hope to achieve.
I love that. I love that answer. I think that inspires me to ask this last question.
Okay.
And that is, what's your favorite way? Because you're such a happy person, Zach. Like, I
have my moments.
I'm so glad that it translates through the screen. I hope it does as well as it does in person. But Zach has the most contagious, positive energy.
Thank you.
Of anybody that I've ever met. and I hope one day to be that level, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm not. But like I love Zach, and I love how positive Zach is, and I've watched Zach really face adversity, and like when we're on sets and something is just not going right and everybody is stressed out, and Zach is just like keeping the vibe.
And then I figure it out sometimes. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's all relax.
It makes me it makes me want to ask the question, because you always pour your energy into others too, is what I've noticed.
Sometimes to a toxic level, but that's my problem.
I'm here for it. What is your favorite way to make someone smile? Like mine, I have like a 3 compliment rule a day. Like I gotta give 3 compliments a day. And I love just the art of, hi, how you doing? You walk past a stranger at the grocery store, you make eye contact. I can't just act like that didn't happen. I'm the annoying person that's like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, that weather sure is cold today. It's crazy. And then keep on walking. We don't got to turn it into a 10-minute conversation. But I think that just brings, make people feel seen. And obviously read the room. If they look at you like, I don't want to talk, don't keep talking to them. But for a lot of people, I think a lot of people are missing that connection. What is your favorite way to make people smile?
Honestly, I also love giving compliments. And I've learned, as a man, me giving compliments to like a random female could come across the wrong way. Mm-hmm. So like, I don't go out of my way, but I try to genuinely engage with people just in general. And when I do engage, or like, I just try to build people up. I like to compliment. If I notice you're wearing a cute shirt, or like you have fun glasses, or like, oh my God, I love what you did with your hair. Mm-hmm. And like, I try to provide a space and like energy that like feels safe, because it is safe. And then I like to build people up. I like to give them compliments as well. And, maybe things that they weren't expecting. Your style, your vibe, your aura is just like so positive. I like to compliment a lot. And additionally, I'm a big cheese. I like to make jokes and make light, and doing that in a way that doesn't degrade others as well. Right. Boost people up, then tell a joke that doesn't break them down. But I like to provide that safe space to be yourself and be creative and to laugh and to just be joyous and to dance like no one is watching. And that's another way that I love to make people smile, is through dancing. I love to just, some years ago, it finally clicked in my head that nobody is making fun of me for how I dance. And if they are, they're not having as much fun as I am.
I love that. I need to learn that.
Yes.
I'm going to have to write that down. Press pause and replay that and listen to that and write that down, because that was a gem.
Yes.
I'm going to go home and pause that and write that down, because that's good.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
I cannot dance in public.
Oh, you just got to do it. And then, inspiring them like, oh, you're too scared to dance? Well, look how silly I look. So get your ass over here and, cut a rug with me.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great way to make people smile. I love that.
Dancing is the best.
All right. Well, what's your favorite song right now?
Ooh, my favorite song right now. That's, I can think of this. It's only hard because through all the editing with all of this, I have been just like listening and re-listening, and I'm finally getting to the point to where I don't have to re-listen a million times to the same thing.
Yeah.
But I've been listening to so much podcast trying to edit, you know, whatever, and just like see if there's places I want to highlight or add a picture, this or that, and but man, my favorite song right now. I think, I'm a sucker for Big X the Plug. It's safe to say I'm the biggest, the largest. Or, and I'm back on my.
I love the Country Fusion album.
Oh,
Everybody's
yeah.
a hater. If you didn't like that album, you're a hater.
Yeah, dude.
That's my hot take.
Um,
Subway take. That was a great album.
What's your favorite song right now?
Right now, what's been on replay the most in my car has been Man Up Above off J. Cole's Fall Off. But also, there's several other ones that have been on repeat.
No doubt.
From there.
No doubt.
I like Who the Fuck Is You?
Okay.
Man, there's several. J. Cole really did his thing with all those samples. Man.
Yeah.
There was a whole lot of, hold on, wait, I know this song. But, like, of the beat and of the sample, and I'm like.
And then he jumps in and you're like,
man,
oh,
he jumps in. And I'm like, wow, I could bump both of these.
Yeah.
It really. Who was I listening to on an interview the other day? But they were like, man, I'm kind of an old head when it comes to music. I grew up in a generation that stayed a generation behind. So I grew up on a lot of. I was born in 2000, so I'm a Gen Z, I think. But I'm definitely raised by millennials who kept me in a millennial era for quite a while. So I heard on an interview. It might have been LeBron James on an interview. I don't know. Or Steph Curry. I don't remember. It was a basketball player interview. And they were talking about music. And they're like, man, used to be able to, all this, early 2000s Y2K, I could remember every word to a hip-hop song. And now, some of these, and I can remember every other 3 or 4 words.
Sure.
And we're hoping it's not just because we're losing it. But, like, I don't know. I just can't keep pace sometimes with these newer songs. And this new J. Cole album, like, really hit for me because I'm like, I can hit every word of this.
Yes.
Like, I'm a big person on judging if I can play an album all the way through without skipping songs.
Totally.
You should win a Grammy immediately.
Yeah, if you got a whole album.
More than X number of people can listen to the album all the way through without skipping.
I'd agree with that.
That is a feat, and that is an album that I can listen to. Will not skip a song. Will play the album over again immediately. Yes. If you have been around me lately, you're probably sick of hearing J. Cole, and I'm so sorry. I'm not going to stop playing it anytime soon.
Dude, I haven't listened to the new album yet. I'm going to listen to it tonight. I saw it released, and then I just forgot. But man, I love J. Cole. Don't listen to anything I just said.
Just listen to it from start
to finish.
Okay,
bet.
From the disc, whatever the first disc is and the second one. I'm sorry, I don't remember the numbers. I think it's 29, 39 or something like that. But listen to it all the way through. Listen to the intros and the interludes.
I bet. Well, Savvy, this was so much fun.
This was super dope.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having
me. I'm rooting for you for Metro Council District 21, and I hope people see this and get to know you and vote for you if they're in your district. I know they won't regret it if they do.
Heck yeah. I feel like if you like community, if you like progress, if you like trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and then winning, I'm here for it.
And being transparent about that too, I'm gonna try and I might fail, but I'll keep trying.
I've never done this before, y'all. I'm not gonna sit here and I could really be on I feel like I could be on my very political and I just can't do that, Zach. I said that it's the beginning of this. I'm just as real as it gets. I don't know. I say what I think. I'm very passionate about what I believe in. I love to hear others' thoughts on things. So I'm
Yeah.
not like a defensive, passionate person. I love to talk. I love to be in communication.
Right.
And I'm just really real with stuff. And I've never done this before, y'all. I've never held a seat in public office. But we all spend our whole lives being a person affected.
Yeah.
So all I can tell you is I'm a person with lived experience in systems. I'm just like you, that we're all experiencing, how government decisions affect us on all levels every single day. And I'm running because I care. I'm running because I hear my neighbors. I'm running because I hear my own.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I want to make it better for all of us. I want to make it better. I think a stronger 21 makes a stronger Louisville. Every piece of it adds up. So let's get it. Team Savvy.
Team Savvy.
District 21, let's
go.
go. 21, can you do something for me? Can you vote for me on the primary?
Yeah.
We might need to go. That was good. I had to think of what I was going to say, though, on the primary.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who tuned in today. Peace.
Peace.